recording, and we're going to be talking about Monday Hour One and planning your time. Now, I know that pretty much everyone in this group currently, not everyone, but like a lot of you guys have maybe other jobs, everyone has other commitments other than your business. And today we're going to be talking all about planning out your time. And I realized that the link for the 24-hour audit was actually incorrect. If you guys had already made that, I tried to go in and fix it up. But just so you know, I posted this yesterday. And we're not going to be talking about this is what I just want to give you an overview of both of these things because I'm going to be out of town. So I wanted to show you this is what's going to be coming up for next week, and then we're going to get into webinars because I know that's a big question mark. So we're going to do a little bit more teaching than talking today, which is awesome because I'm sick and my voice sounds really beautiful. So you're welcome for all of this morning. It's just we're going with it. I know it is like not the prettiest voice, but I wanted to give you an overview of calendaring before you get in there next week, and Renee will not be able to answer any of your questions. So wanted to go through that really quick. So within planning your time, maybe some of you are familiar with what I call Monday Hour One. It's a very simple one. So if you have any questions, just post it in the stream. But I wanted to just give you a quick overview because I'm not going to give you an overview next week. So we are going to talk about like the thing that happens when we try and manage our time, especially with like other jobs and other commitments, and how to break it down so that you can use your time and your calendar really well. So there is this thing called a 24-hour audit. I did this, and what you want to do is you just want to figure out where your time is going, especially when you're doing things specifically for your business. I have a spreadsheet in there, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. And I'm actually was doing a time training on how to hire people, and this is like the number one thing. You want to figure out how your time is being used. If you want to do it like actually, and I started it with Tuesday, if you want to actually do it every day this week, you can see how each hour is being spent. Obviously, at like 1 in the morning, I hope y'all are sleeping, but like within the day, how is your time being spent? And what are you doing your tasks? What are you going to be doing during each time? And the reason why that's important is eventually you guys might get to the point where you are hiring people and you want to make sure that the time that you're spending on each task is so streamlined that it can become a protocol for someone else. So it's the number one thing that she said that she's done. And you want to keep the log of direct and indirect. So a lot of times, like what we'll do, especially when we're trying to start a business, we'll like wait until the deadline to start working. And it's like, oh my gosh, we've got a webinar tomorrow. That's not great for me. We've got to go and do this. So we want to make sure that you're not waiting until the deadline to get started working on things. We want to not have just a huge project to do. Like you'll learn when we talk about webinars in just a moment, I break each task down and I calendar each task. So that's going to be helpful. Writing to-do list, reprioritizing daily. That's the problem with to-do lists I found a lot of the time. If you're just crossing off things on your to-do list, there isn't a specific time chunk that's available. And also, I'm guilty of this sometimes, but scheduling an entire day to do a project. It's like, okay, I'm going to do all the training videos and worksheets on this one day. And a lot of times it makes it a lot harder to get it done. So why this is a problem, we do this is like we want to be organized, which is not the most productive way when we're writing big to-do lists. And when you see something that's large and overwhelming, you can get hardwired for negativity. Obviously, it takes 5 positive thoughts to replace every negative thought. So we want to like avoid as much negative thought as possible. And that's why we're going to do Monday Hour One. You also want to know how it's like, especially with projects. And I said, you know how much time it's going to take, especially with projects you don't know how long it's going to take. You might schedule like 2 hours and it might take 4, especially doing webinars at the very beginning. That's going to be a big thing that you guys are going to be seeing. So you want to make sure you include ample time. And also, a lot of times when we put it on a to-do list, we feel like it's going to get done and it doesn't. So within that, that's why we've got this awesome way for us to evaluate, simplify, calendar, and have clear outcomes. So that's Monday hour one is we're going to talk through, you take all the tasks, put them on a calendar. Then we're also going to talk about how to break down results. Like we're going to talk about webinars, and then Friday hour done is the eval process. So we're going to do Monday hour one today, and there's going to be like bigger things like that you guys might be doing, and that's going to come up in the annual plan later on. And I know I'm spinning through this, but there is a video that actually explains all this in like a longer term. I just want to give you guys like a brief overview before you like look at it next week. So there will be things that you do for Monday hour one to take care of yourself. That'll be like thought work. There'll be things for your relationships, like doing outreach. That's something that you want to be doing. You'll have meetings, you'll have miscellaneous, and then you'll have results. So when you're thinking about the results piece with like the presentation made, I tried to give you the exact protocol that I do when I am trying to break it down a presentation. So you'll see when we talk about webinars is like how to create a script and think about potential questions, then set aside a different time maybe, or the same time, but just like a different chunk to do the slides, and then a different chunk to do the marketing. So we're going to be talking about webinars, and you want to set aside different chunks for each piece instead of being like, I'm just going to do everything for my like maybe weight loss webinar tomorrow. It's like we want to break it down into little chunks, and then we want to put it on your calendar. I love to over like calendar myself. This was back 2 years ago, actually, I think. And I would have like consultation evaluations on there. I recorded a freebie at that time. I also had in here like prep for Zoom presentation on time management, um, making sure that I unpack from trips, even laundry and things like that. All of those things we want to have listed on your calendar so that you get it actually done. And the last thing is that these are the Friday hour done piece is you want to think about the 5 wins, what worked, what didn't work, and what can you do differently. Fun fact, this is what we do on what you are doing for the first 10 minutes of this call is getting into that CEO mindset. So lots of awesome stuff there, the worksheets that go along with it. This is what I do as my annual plan. I do this every single week. I talk about what my annual goal, monthly total so far, and then my energy, networking, and offers made, and 5 wins of the week. What did you do? What needs improvement? What can you do differently? This is very similar to your it's very similar to the spreadsheet I have for you guys. I just created kind of like a visual that goes along with it. So you can see like these are, and again, outreach, it's important to make sure you do, but you never have to do everything. And then there's also like the totals for the year. So you can see all of that goodness. Okay. I know that you guys just got that right now. Oh, and then Monday hour one, if you just want to list it out before you put it all on your calendar, there's a place for you to do that. Any quick questions about calendaring? I know I buzzed through that and you haven't had a chance to look at it prior to this. If you have questions, feel free to message me later. That's totally fine. Okay, cool. Moving right along, there are like 3 things that I want to go over with you guys today because we also have our next week is going to be really fun because you guys are going to have time to potentially, if you want to start making a website, you can do that, which will be really cool. So the next one, and I thought I put the slides in your folder and I didn't. So that's on me. So I do have slides for the webinar, but currently I just have the video. So I'm trying to find those really quick. Sorry about this. I thought I had these listed. Where is it? We'll find it. But did I put it? I definitely do have a presentation about the webinar. Sorry, friends. being sick is like having me off my game today. That's okay. We shall persevere. Good teaching concepts. Here we are. Okay. So with webinars, this is a big hot topic. I know, because this is going to become eventually your freebie. So this is going to be something that you guys are going to be doing, and it's going to become a freebie that you can utilize as you guys are going to be like, you guys might have heard of the term freebie before. You might have heard of ways that you can present and get yourself in front of an audience. And that is what we are going to be talking about this week. So within webinars, you want to make sure that you have your pillars broken down and separated into smaller ideas. Andrea, I know this is something that we've talked about, but you remember how you had all those things listed for your underneath the PSBR for your program? That's where this is going to go. It's going to be broken down into smaller pillars, and you're actually going to choose a webinar topic and date today. So it could be in July, it could be in August, but I would like for you to actually get a webinar topic and date on the calendar this week. Also, there's a webinar outline and a lot of systems that you're going to learn today, and how to do a launch lead in. One of the biggest things is that most of you guys have not had a typical name for your business. You haven't had a way that you've stood out. I want this webinar to be a way that you can informally launch your product. I want you to like actually launch something for this. Also, Andrea, do you have a quick question?
Yeah. So you were saying that like, okay, it doesn't have to be like relatively soon, right? It could be like in July or whatever. But my question would be like, what would be the soonest that you think it could? I feel like I'm jonesing to like start taking some action. So like, do you think it takes at least, I think you've mentioned 2 weeks before, like a week of kind of seeding and then the week of?
Yep. That's exactly what I would do. And what you can do. Whoa, sorry, friends. We could do something like this where you come like for one of our coaching calls in between now and then, and you do a quick dry run with us. Like, you see how like obviously like this could take like a full hour, but I just spun through it really quickly. We could do a quick run through as well with you. I would say that, yeah, you could absolutely do this like second week of June if you wanted to. That's 2-ish weeks from now, right? Yeah. So like, have you had a chance to look over the material just yet? Like what I'm
For
talking
the
about
webinars?
for this? Yeah.
I did watch the video and I downloaded the stuff, but I haven't like really kind of tailored it to anything specific.
That's perfect. No, that's exactly what we can coach on today, because we can figure out like, what do you want to coach on? What do you want to like? And it doesn't have to be your whole program. That's what we're going to talk about, is like, it shouldn't be like, hey, I'm launching my whole program. This is everything about my whole program. We just want to give people a quick win. So awesome question. Yes. The sooner you want to do this, the better, I think. Like, because I think another thing that I've learned is that a lot of doing webinars and launching, I've heard the first 4 times are just like an adventure. Like, you're learning, you're getting your feet wet, you're figuring out your audience. And so the more reps, it's almost like reps at the gym. It's like the more just practice you can get in and just like, this works, this doesn't work, the better you will be in the long run. So I think this is awesome. So yeah, love that. And if anyone else is jonesing to get it on a webinar, definitely let's do it. So yeah, so you can choose a date today. It can be as soon as you want. It can be as late as you want. No pressure. But I think it's really important to have that marketing outreach time prior. You also are going to get an outline. So I'm going to talk you through like the most basic way to do a webinar. You can always zhuzh it up a little, but this is just a really basic way to do it. And also talk about like how to do a launch lead in. So we'll talk about how to do marketing before and after one. So when you are thinking about a topic for it, and I say like in January, but like you can say like, hey, I'm like thinking about doing a webinar and it's super casual, like, but I feel like it's good, but it's like, is there anything missing for you to like start your year strong? It's like if that's something that your webinar is like about, you want to get your audience interacting with you. And I don't know if you guys have seen any of the posts that I've done or like things that I posted in the group, but my social media actually on Wednesday, the day after our call last week, it got reported. So that was fun. I am having to limit my posts and limit my conversations with people, but it's like you want to make sure that you have just conversations going with people just in case that social media decides to do its social media thing and not always work very efficiently. So that's why you want to have like other ways of talking to people. You want to have like not just like posting, but like you want to be having conversations in DMs, having people's emails, talking to people outside of it. You want to make sure that like you have access to this and this is how you can break the ice. Um, but yeah, like you can also use this for like mini trainings in your group as well. So within what I have seen when I've seen people teach topics in the past, again, like I talked about with Renee, a lot of I don't think anyone else in this group is a teacher, like inherently. I don't think anyone had a past degree in education. And when I've seen people who are not teachers try and teach, even me as a teacher, a lot of times I will give away, and other people I've seen like give away a lot of topics at once. And it actually like repels people instead of like attracts people. People are like, oh, that's too much. Her program's going to be too much. For you guys, you're already paid. So I'm like, okay, like I can give you a lot of information. And so I know that like we're together for 6 months, but during a webinar, you want to keep it short and sweet. The other thing is, I've seen people that aren't super specific and skip pieces because you know your process really well. You might skip pieces of your process and people might just like lose you and get a little bit confused. And why is because a lot of times we get really excited and you're like, oh, I just want to teach everyone everything. I've learned this. It can help them. It's great. And that excitement, we just need to pare down and like make a lot of different other topic ideas. The other thing is that there's this overcompensation factor. So there will be situations where you're like, oh, I want people to like really like think my product's worth it. Like they want to be like, oh, it's like I want to prove that I'm a good coach and that you should really pay me. And so it's just like kind of like it's a little bit overcompensatory. And a lot of times we do this because it's like you're thinking that people don't actually want what you have to offer. So we just want to pare it down, make it short and simple and to the point. Now, one of the things that why teaching concepts is so important is it makes you credible. It's going to plant seeds for your audience that like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I'm good. Um, I actually met with someone to talk about like growing a newsletter on Thursday of last week. And she looked at all the webinars I have and she was like, you're giving away all of this for free. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay. She's like, wow. She's like, this is insane. And I was like, great. I'm like glad that you like it. So within that, you want to make sure you're planting seeds for people like, hey, I'm good at what I do. I promise I can help you. This will be good for you. The next thing you want to do is you want to give value ahead of time. So you want to make sure that people are getting free help and that they are just feeling like, okay, they can do this. Like, and that's why it's important to give them a small win. Apparently, that's something that Corinne Crabtree actually talks about. Like when she talks about marketing, she's like, you want to make sure that like you give people a small win so that they feel like they can trust you. And they're like, okay, if this is all I'm getting for free, how awesome could the paid program be? Again, very, very small win, not like I'm going to teach you all the things. And then also, we want to expand your reach. Again, your audience is everyone who's listening to you. Your reach is reaching more people, and you want to make sure that you are bringing more people in every single month, every single week. You guys are already doing that with cold outreach, but you want to make sure that you're bringing these more people in. And when you are thinking about, like, I think we discussed this previously, but every person think that they have like a wedding full of people. that's available to them. So you want to make sure that you are delivering to your people and also reaching more. So here's what I did is I took all of my pillars, and there are going to be things that you teach that will help people progress to understand the whole concept of your pillar. There are things that mostly at the beginning, you're going to be regurgitating with your own flavor what someone else has taught you. Every single thing that I've taught you, you can use. And like Sarah and Talia, I know that you work with businesses. Every single thing that I teach you guys, you can use. I don't feel like any way, shape, or form about it. If there's something that you're like, this could help my business clients too, feel free to use it. And you can even use the same names, like pillar breakdown. If you want to use that, that's totally fine. I think it helps more people, and you guys are going to reach different people than I will. So that is, you're just going to be like saying things that you've heard in certifications and books and podcasts and trainings, anything like that you want to be teaching. Another thing, it could be a variation of what you've learned. So I learned the concept Monday Hour One. When we talk about the annual plan, I took the concept Monday Hour One and I made it my own. And I called it Monthly Hour One. And so that's something that's completely new. No one else has taught that I've heard of ever before. And that's my own thing. The next stage that you'll go through as you are figuring out your teaching style is you're going to be like, ooh, this is something that I figured out. It's totally different. And that's like the weekly tracker, the rainbow sheet that I just showed you. That's something that's completely different. No one else is doing that. And that's something that's completely my own. So what you want to do is you want to think about within your business, what are little things that you could teach other people when you're thinking about doing your posts and doing webinars. So within marketing, we want to break marketing down into subtopics and subcategories. Subtopics are great ideas for webinars. Subcategories are great ideas for posts. So like with webinars or with marketing, I could do the style of marketing. I could do a whole webinar on how to style your marketing so it is unique to you. I could also do a separate, completely different webinar on calendar. I could do a separate, completely different webinar on content batching. Those are all the different bigger topics that I would say that a subtopic is something that would take you like 40-ish minutes to explain, and something that has something that's interactive and something people can't apply on their own without you, or it'd be very difficult for them to apply without you. Within the subcategories, those are things that you are going to be using for posts. So I could do a post all about cold leads. I could do a post all about warm leads. I could do a post all about hot leads. I could do a post all about, like I did one about like testimonials, like how to do a testimonial. That's something that it was a little bit lengthy, but it's something people could take and apply right away. I could also talk about like how to do copy workshopping, where like we talked about, it's like you've got a heading, you draw people in with 4 sentences and include hashtags. So like that could be a post that like people don't need me to necessarily do with them. So all these things are ways that you can break down topics. Now, when you are doing a webinar, you could also break down a webinar and include a couple of things that you teach in a post. So like I did that time management presentation. I did that and I talked about Monday Hour One and Friday Hour Done and result breakdown all in one webinar. It might have been too much, but like another way you can figure out your subtopic is by comboing a couple of your subcategories. Man, my voice is doing great, isn't it? Sorry guys, is struggle this morning. Give me just a second. So the 2 ways that you can come up with webinar topics is to take your pillar and think about the big pieces that would take about 40 minutes to teach or you could combine a couple of subcategories. So, and again, like, so the way that I did the subcategory when I combined some subtopics, some categories to make a subtopic, is I just combined these two and I said time. So it doesn't need to be fancy. You will probably not have as many as I have. You might, but you might not. And you just want to think about one thing that is one of your pillars that's a subset of a pillar that you could teach. So if you're like, I don't want you to do a webinar about all, like, if I were to do a webinar all about marketing, selling, getting results, teaching, planning, and managing, it'd be way too much. What I am playing around with is doing a webinar. And what I did for you guys who joined this group is I talked about like the 6-figure systems, and I talked about the importance of all of these, but I don't get into any of the actual logistics of those. So that's like, you can, like, I wouldn't actually teach marketing, selling, getting results. I just talked about the importance of them. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick a subcategory. Just choose one. It doesn't need to be the best one. It doesn't need to be a phenomenal one. It just needs to be one of them that you feel like you could teach well right now. Something that you could teach someone how to do that could help them right now. And you're going to pick a date and time that work for you and give yourself a full hour before and a full hour after. You're going to thank me later for that, because what's going to happen is you're going to be stressed out beforehand. You're going to think of last minute things. There'll be people who don't have the link right away. All of that goodness is going to happen right beforehand. I like to do, and I've switched it to Wednesdays at 8 p.m. because I feel like it's actually really post dinner time. I found that like a lot of people were during that 7 p.m. time. They're like, we got to put the kids to bed. And I was like, okay, I'll do it a little bit later. So that's what you want to do. Again, I said in January, I just want you to do it sometime before we finish working together in September. So that means you've got plenty of time, seriously, plenty of time. And you are going to do 1 week of marketing before. During the webinar, you're going to be talking, the week of the webinar, you're going to talk about it. And then week 3 and 4, you're going to be selling hard. So that's the first part of the webinar protocol. You're going to decide the dates in advance. You're going to make a monthly marketing calendar so the webinar aligns. So let's say if I was doing one about Monday hour 1, I would talk about managing for the week before, and I would talk about planning the week of. So you see, just like the week before, you want to choose you want to choose your pillar, like 2 pillars that align really well. So that's what you want to do. You also, by now, hopefully have a largish outreach list. You've got a list of people who you've been talking to. You've got a list of people who you've been nurturing. So you want to make sure that you have reached out to everyone casually. You want to be like, hey, like, how's it going? You guys could be doing that right now. I'm gonna take out shoulds, but it's like, that's something you could be doing right now. And you want to just like have very casual conversations and then invite them. A lot of times in the past, I have not done this. And it's like what I showed you guys last week. It's like, hey, come to the webinar, come to the webinar, come to the webinar. You want to make sure you actually have conversations beforehand. Then I want you to actually write the webinar. We're going to talk about the script for it, but I want you to actually just like fill out the script, make the slides, present it to somebody, make changes. And I personally feel like a lot of times when I am doing a webinar, I don't like it when people talk about they teach me something and I can't apply it right away. So I like to have a worksheet following along. Then the week before, you want to do the marketing for it. And then we're going to talk about like, you'll have a website potentially, and you can change something that's like a pop-up for the website. That'll be like, in this webinar, you will learn this. Like, check your email from me. Sorry. You can make a Facebook event, a LinkedIn event. You can write and schedule emails. And I actually give you guys my exact emails that I use. Like verbatim, I actually have a copy of that for you. So you can use the exact same thing. I do not feel like any copyright or sorts, like literally, like minus maybe my pictures. Like you might want to change it to your own pictures. But like other than that, you can write the emails before. change Linktree to add the presentation, message everyone from the old webinars, the second email, and be like, hey, it's coming. And then add everyone to the this week email. The next thing that you're going to do is after the webinar, you're going to evaluate it. You're going to change the pop-up back. You're going to send a free coaching session if you want to do that for people who won. I like to do a giveaway for 3 people to win an hour-long coaching session, and then message everyone who came. So here's the intro, and I know I'm getting really into this, and I know we're taking a lot of time, but I promise we will get to coaching very soon. But you're going to have the intro, problems, very simple process. I like 3 steps for this first one for sure. And then talk about, so you'll zoom out and talk about how people want to work with you. So it'll be like, hey, here's what you're here for. I'm the best person to help you. Here's the problem you've been having. Here's a simple process. And if I'm doing, for instance, the time management one, I'd be like, time management is one piece of a huge pie. You need to learn how to manage that, but you also need to learn how to manage your responses. I'm going to teach you all of that in my program. Not only that, I'm going to teach you how to plan. I'm going to teach you how to manage. I'm going to teach you how to deliver. I'm going to teach you how to teach. I'm going to teach you how to market, and I'm going to teach you how to sell. All of that happens within 6-figure systems. So like you've gotten like an eighth of the pie. I want to give you the whole pie in my program. So this is the first email. This is just like anyone who signs up for the webinar more than a week prior. So this will be like, hey, you're in. Here are the resources. You can get your transformation blueprint. Here's where you can learn about my website. Here's my free Facebook group. Then this will go out. I like to do it the Sunday before if I'm doing it on a Wednesday. So that's where it'll be like for everybody on my list, it'll be like, hey, there's a webinar. Click here to join. Here's the problem solution in the program. And then I like to, this is an hour before. Hey, we're doing the thing. Join the meeting here. What to expect, Zoom link, consult call, what to bring. And then afterwards, I like to do 30 minutes into the webinar. And I like to say, hey, that was fun, right? We love this. And sign up for a consult call. And then I also do the recording in that one. So this is just like the technology Lightbox QR code. Slido is a way that you can integrate polls into your Google Slides. We get more into this technology when I come back. But Slides Go is like just a way to, this is how I made this presentation. It's free. I recommend using Google Slides versus PowerPoint because it'll, if I change this presentation and upload it to my website, it'll change in real time. You can make labels with your Gmail, and you can also have a Jazzy email signature. Like, so you can see this is what a Slido looks like. And you can have interaction like that, which is like fun for people to like actually be interacting with you on your calls. If you want to look at any of my old presentations, obviously my website has changed a lot, but you can definitely check those out. And then what worked, what could be improved, what can you do differently? And if it's something I want to do again, I make the changes right afterwards so I don't forget. And then we're gonna, there's trending audio, idea, testimonials, all that good stuff. We aren't actually going to content batch, but that is that. And then you'll get like, this is your own webinar protocol. You can change it to be stuff for you. Here's a script, what the problem is, solution, and closing, how to work with you. Here's the concept breakdown. And here's the eval. Those are all the things, along with like, I'm not gonna go into all of the emails, but they're all here and all the links to the graphics. Whew. I feel like I just like talked for like 10 years. Are there any questions about that? I have one more thing to talk to you about. I'm sorry we're doing so much teaching today, but it's okay. It's fine. Everything is fine. I promise you will still get an hour of coaching. Anything about this that you guys would like some help with? Sound like I've been smoking packs of cigarettes my whole life. Oh my God. Think about this. Good. Okay, great. We love that. Oh my goodness, I can't. The next thing is that you guys, not only did I want to give you guys guest like coaches while I'm out of town, and I actually I might have you guys work with my first business coach ever. I'm seeing if she's gonna come, and another coach is gonna come on when I'm at the 200K mastermind. So I just really would love for you guys to meet Jackie. I think it'd be awesome. And Jules also awesome. But not only do I want to give you guys like guest coaches so you can see other coaching styles, but I also wanted to give you guys some bonuses. So when I first started, you do not have to have a website at all. Not mandatory. Nobody needs it. Hear me now. If you guys are like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to create a website, you don't need it. Okay. This caused a lot of contingencies for the last group, and I just don't want you guys to have to deal with that either. However, I do think that when you have a webinar, it is helpful to have a place to post it. So if you would like to start creating a webinar or a website of your own, I hired my website person, and she's going to be talking to you about how to create a website. So I have my website here, and these are all the pieces of a website that you guys can have. And you can use the exact words I use and you can make it your own. It's like most people do this and it feels stuck. It feels sucks. It feels sucks. Oh, great, guys. It can suck, but it doesn't need to be that way. I got this wording from Online Coach Accelerator. Feel free to use whatever wording you want. If you already have a website, feel free to use this. Having a really long homepage is apparently very good for search engine optimization. Who knew? But mine is very long. So if you want to use this as a guide, you can literally copy the exact things that I did. I do not mind. And yeah, you can see all the peoples that I've worked with. So all that's there. Facebook group, all of this goodness. There's a video about it, webinars, all of that goodness. And that's also here. So this is like proof, plan, explain, intro, all that. Woo! Okay. I'm going to go and grab another water because I'm running low and my voice sounds crappy, but all of that is there for you. Think about what you want coaching on, think about your wins, and I will be right back with more hydration and hopefully a better voice. It'll be great. Okay. Who wants some coaching first?
I'll go. This isn't I don't know if this is really like
Give a quick win.
Oh yeah. I created my wise stamp last night.
Oh, awesome.
The accountability time. So
Awesome.
felt like a quick win.
Awesome. Love that. What would you like some coaching on?
So I've been working on the like networking piece, and like I said, I don't know if this is just more looking for advice or if it's actually coaching. I had a former group coaching client, and so as a part of my like nurturing, I guess, I was reaching out to old clients and just kind of checking in on how they're doing and all this kind of stuff. And she responded back, and we've gone back and forth. I think like I've responded or I've sent something to her about 3 times. And this last time that she like asked, or responded to me, she was asking some specific kind of questions. She's having some fears about a all-inclusive, cruise that she's going on. And then she also has this friend who's had weight loss surgery, but still seems to be able to eat whatever she wants. And so she was kind of having some troubling feelings on that. So my last response to her, I was like, I validated how she was, or I was like, yeah, I think that's pretty normal to have some fears around that, whatever. I offered her like 3 different blogs on my website that I felt like could help her kind of game plan for that. And, some exploratory questions, I guess, in terms of the relationship with her friend to kind of investigate it. It felt like coaching via email, but I just felt a little like torn, I guess, because I felt like instead of just continuing to offer this like free help, like I felt like this is where I should have been like, it didn't feel appropriate to say, get on a consult call with me because she's already worked with me, but I also felt like, was it too soon to be like, hello, this is what I get paid for, work with me? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just was having a lot of thoughts about it, to where I was like, I'm supposed to be nurturing. And I guess for me, nurturing doesn't include selling.
Okay. So nurturing. Okay. This is an interesting thing. So I have a question. So when people work with you, they can only work with you once, or can they work with you like multiple times?
Yeah, they can work with me multiple times. Sure.
Okay, so maybe okay, you were like, yeah, she's already worked with me. I don't want to ask her again. I'll call to call. I'm like, yeah, like I've had people work with me like multiple times. So like definitely like if someone's worked with you before, they can work with you again. The other thing is when we are nurturing, one of the best ways, and if anyone's familiar with Edie Wadsworth, she's wonderful. She gave me some really great coaching the other day. And she was like, one of the things that she was talking about is that like you want to, for you, when you are talking to somebody, what would be more valuable, working with you or reading a blog post?
Yeah.
Probably working with you. Probably working with like I asked you this, I didn't get a chance to see the answer. How long is your program and how much is it? Have we decided on that?
That actually was another one that I put on there. I just
Oh, great.
decided to stick with the 2000 for the 4 months. I know it's just a thought, but I feel like I'm locked in now because I had that last call with my last one-on-one client, and that's what I put in the email to her. So now I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna stick with it.
Okay, I love sticking with it. You can of course always change it if you ever
Yeah.
want. Like it's never like we've set our price one time and that's it. So totally think that's fine. And within so it's like 2K for 4 months, one-on-one coaching with you. When you're thinking about what I like to do is I like to give them a little win beforehand. And like so it's like I think that my feedback would be that like instead of giving 3 blogs, give one, check back in, and then be like, also, I don't know if you knew this, but when we worked together, you were in a group. I actually started doing private coaching and I have a couple of spots open. Would that be something that would I feel like it could be really helpful before you're doing this cruise and like all these different kinds of things? Would you want to like talk more about it? There's no pressure, but like if you want to, I'd be more than happy to help you. And you see how like that, like, and again, people are like, don't ever say no pressure. It's just like my vernacular. Like it's not like implying that there is pressure, but I feel like it sets people at ease a little. Like remember when we were talking about like painting the vision and it's like there's all these great I feel like a lot of people like get really stuck in that. Just like say it how you would say it. But I think like I would say if you've gone back and forth like 3-ish times, you've given her um personal feedback, you've also given her resources, I would say like, how did that blog post go? Great. It's like I want to hear how that blog post worked for you, just one in the future, and then be like, also, I'm so glad to hear that. I feel like when we worked together last time it was in a group setting, I actually offer one-on-one spots now. Would you, is that something that would be helpful for you right now? How
Mhm.
does that feel to you?
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, that feels fine. I just didn't know how to kind of bridge the gap of like, we worked together before. Clearly, I can be worked with, like, and like,
No, she doesn't. She definitely doesn't know. I feel like she might be actually like, I feel like she's like, hey, like, what do you think? Like, this is how it all starts. And then people are like, oh, I would really like to work with you again. That would be great.
yeah. And I just have like a little bit of drama about, because she wasn't very active in the group. She didn't come to many coaching calls, wasn't posting like in the Facebook group and all that. Um, so I guess just kind of feeling like, I don't know, she probably doesn't want it anyways, because it didn't seem like she really wanted it before either.
Uh-huh.
Which I know I could be like, well, that means individual coaching is like the fit for her because group was something that she easily got lost in, or
Of course. And I just know like why it's like your brain is choosing to think our brains will always think the worst of people until we show them that it's just not helpful. So if you think about like she probably doesn't want it anyways, how does that feel?
I mean, defeating.
Hmm. So what do you do?
I just give her a lot of information that she can do self-help for herself and not offer my own help.
Hmm. You said like not thinking about how one on one could be perfect and you could do a couple more, but it's like the result would be like you undermine her ability to want it.
Hmm.
So now that your brain can see that, oh, thinking she probably doesn't want it anyways, is that thought serving you or the future of your business right now?
No.
Perhaps not. Okay. So what if I think that this person really does want it? Like, it's like, what would we need to do to like, how would you want to ask her to opt in?
I honestly was like gonna rewatch this recording and just take
Yeah.
notes. Felt like what you said was good. I mean, yeah, I just check in with her in I mean, because I just sent her that yesterday, so it feels a little in my mind like needy if I like respond today and be like, hey, how'd that go? Like, did you read that?
What
So
if we just cruise for her?
I forget. But I felt like it was also kind of soon because that definitely went through my head. I'm like, well, if she starts working with me, it's not like we're going to be able to really do anything before this thing happens. Um, so I don't know. I just figured I'd probably, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, reach back out and just be like, hey, what were your thoughts on that? Um, yeah, basically what you said. I know we worked in group together and um, I have a few spots open right now for this, one-on-one coaching. And I think we could really, dig into this and yeah, I'll have to look on when that cruise was, but
Sure. By the cruise. Would you want to talk about that would look like this week? Okay, so here's the thing. This thought, like, oh, I can't really do much before the cruise. she might not look any different at all. Mentally, you could like completely change her experience of that cruise. Or at least have her someone to talk to. Like when she's like, oh my God, I tried on the bathing suit and it looks horrible. I heard a rip on my dress when I put it on and I can't wear the dress. Like I feel horrible. Like all the thoughts that she has, like this thought, I don't want to seem needy. Like, what if you were like, I want to do a webinar next week, and I would be like, well, I want to seem needy, so I don't really want to like message you like right away. Like it's like, what? It's like that's when you need me the most. It's like I'd be like, oh my gosh, I thought about last night and I realized that that cruise is in like 2 weeks. I don't want you to like be there without any support. If you want it, like, would you want to hop on a call this week? We can get started as soon as you need, but I want to make sure that like you're just feeling ready for that.
Mm.
Like, do you see how that goes from like needy for you versus needy? Like she, not needy, but like desirable for her to have someone who's like thinking about her in her life.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, it's just like you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And I don't think that I've ever like heard things like phrased like this or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I just feel like, I guess, when you're making that offer to help, I don't know, that it's just innately going to come off as like, give me money, you know? And I think I've struggled with this because like a year or two ago or whatever, and I was talking with some girl that was like newly LCS, well, she was coaching me, newly LCS certified, doing some free coaching with me, and it was this like struggle of like, my bottom line for having my business is I want to make money. You know what I mean? And it was like, I know that like I'm supposed to be like in service to others, but for some reason the money just always really was like my thing. And I don't think it has to be completely like separate. Like, hello, if we're business women, we should be making money. But like, I guess allowing myself to feel like those two can exist together, like happily and productively, rather than feeling like because I want to make money or money is important to me, that like that must mean I'm not in service or not providing something for them.
Yeah. So one of the things about like the oversell, like oh, like the under promise over deliver. I think that the 4K for, or sorry, the 2K for 4 months, when you're thinking about that, you are serving her far more than you're receiving, right? Like think about like 2K in the scheme of her lifetime to feel confident in her body, to actually know how to lose weight in a way that doesn't feel horrible. And the weight loss surgery probably costs more than 2K. And the surgery afterwards probably like costs just as much, you know? So it's like that, if you're thinking about that, money, of course, it's a current, and that's what we talked about, like the currency, like what you're giving to her energetically and like shifting her life is so much more than what you're receiving. So it's like you can be like, oh yeah, like of course it's important that I receive like something equitable, but it's like so much, like it's like when you're thinking about it for her and thinking about how much it can help her, then the money for you will absolutely come because you're in service. Like you're thinking about serving her at the highest level, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
Yeah.
allow money to be a partner as you go through this. And like, but like I want you to think about like, I think when it, for me personally, it appears as though when people are really focused on money is when they don't actually know who I am. Like, and they're um, when all the people that are talking to me and they'll be like, oh, like you could use ads. And I'm like, maybe, but we just met, bud. Like, hey, just nice to meet you. And that's again what we talked about like last week is not just like cold outreaching to people and being like, well, it is, but it's like to get to know them first. It's like, hey, I'm Megan, nice to meet you. I think we have a common connection. Like, love what you're doing. Ask a question of some sort. And then it's getting to know them first. And then it's a longer game, but you already know her. So I think
Hmm.
you're getting confused with what you've seen and experienced with what you've actually done with this former client.
Yeah.
So how does
Yeah.
that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I wrote down that I still need to, I think, brainstorm more of the benefits that they are going to receive from that and the value that that would be in their life. Because I still struggle. I still struggle feeling like I get my clients results. Um, I had my wrap up call with that client this week, and one of the things she had mentioned was, and I started and ended at the same weight, which was a thing I heard from another client that finished working with me like a month or two ago. And it's not completely the result that all of my clients receive. Like I've had other clients that, they do lose weight. But that one seems to be a recurring theme that has me feeling like, I don't know, do I get you results? Like you know what I mean? So I think I do need to spend a little bit more time. And we recognize a ton of intangible results that she did get working with me. So I know she didn't just leave feeling like she got nothing, right? Like she was able
Yeah.
to really vocalize the progress that she had made. But I need to practice more reminding myself of that and thinking of other benefits and value that they receive from working with me other than just the scale.
Yes. And also, you can feel like money's the most important thing, not feel like you are for sure getting clients' results, and you can still talk to people and have consults. There's never a
Mhm.
point when you feel like you're perfectly like, oh my gosh, I'm totally sold on my product. It'd be perfect for everybody. I get clients' results and money doesn't matter at all. And like, I'm totally good. It's like, oh my God, this is never going to happen. So it's like, you can still talk to her without feeling like perfect mentally as well.
Mhm.
So, so good though. I love this. And I want everyone also to think about the intangibles that you offer. And I want to see if Talia or Sarah, if you've got any thoughts for Andrea as well. Or Andrea, are you open to that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Great, great. Talia.
Um, yeah, so I wanted to just like give some perspective on myself as a consumer because this is what I've been thinking about like as a salesperson recently, and it's been really helpful for me. I've had a couple experiences recently where I've like expressed interest in working with somebody and they've been like, okay. And I'm like, invite me, give me the
Yeah.
path, and so like that's really been helpful for me to realize like that's what I'm looking for is like I want to spend money. I don't want it for free because I want to feel like you're providing me a service. So like I want it to cost money. I want to spend my money. I want to buy things. And I really want to be invited. I want it to feel easy for me. Like I don't want to have to like think about it. So I've been trying to remember that perspective as a consumer as I'm dealing with people, because that was like an example is I met this woman who does yoga. Like she teaches yoga, and I was really interested in like getting an at-home program, like having somebody do a program for me that I could do at home on my own and have like a little bit of coaching on it. And I told her that I wanted that, like that's what I was looking for. And she's like, yeah, I could probably do something like that. And we were like in kind of a like casual conversation. And she left it with like, if you like if you're interested, like reach out to me. And I'm like, I just did. You know, this is me telling you I'm interested. So, and I like ended up not following up with her because I just kind of was like I don't want to feel like you're doing me a favor. You know what I mean? And so I think like that was just a really impactful experience for me. Like I really wish you had been like, well, here's like the process. We can schedule a consultation, figure out, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I would have been like, yeah, sounds great. So anyway, for what it's worth. And the other thing I was just thinking of, like, as you were like, just talking at the end about like tangible versus intangible results. I know that like your, like what I've seen on your social media is like your kind of, like the person you're speaking to has like a particular number of pounds associated with it. Is that right? And like, I wonder if like you personally feel really attached to the like weight being the measure of success. And so if your clients don't get there, like, is that just like a thought that's happening in your mind? Like, are you attached to that? And maybe it's not, maybe it's not really what they're looking for. Like they might be just looking, I know like my personal experience with like weight and body issues, I'm like at the heaviest weight I've ever been at, but I'm the happiest in my body that I've ever been. And so for me, that's like definitely what's most important. So just a thought for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I'm definitely ironically attached to the scale results because I really feel like, you know, especially like, you know, Corinne Crabtree, right? She has not a million, but she has like a really good amount of people who have like lost over 100 pounds. So I mean, in terms of my marketing, yes, I am marketing to people who have a desire to like have a smaller number on the scale, right? And I talk with them, and even on my social media marketing, and this is something I'm aware of, that I'm like, here's, you know, other ways, non-scale victories, right? Like that you can focus on to keep you feeling good and keep the momentum going. But and that's why I'm excited about like kind of the form that Megan's given us and how to like track those intangibles, because I was not doing a very good job. Like we were doing a good job in individual calls, celebrating like, oh, that's such a great win and all this kind of stuff. But really not like over the lifetime of us working together, being able to really track like how that builds on each other and you know, really how far they've come. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, it's something that I've noticed within myself that like, and even still for myself too, like it's, you know, I'm a part of Corinne's program and she has like the Century Club award, and I pay her $60 a month every month because I want to get this stupid award that I've probably paid $300 for now. I could have bought my own damn award, but like, you know, and I'm still like, oh, 95 pounds lost means nothing because I have 5 left to go before I can get the damn trophy, you know? So I know it's like not super clean for me, right? Like I'm still very much like attached to that. And I think that does create like an obstacle for myself too, to really like be able to speak super clearly to my potential customers on the other benefits, right? And the value that the non-scale stuff will really like help them, you know? So yeah, I think,
Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I was basically done.
Well, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I was just like, if we think about your marketing, I've seen that too. Like, it's like a lot about like losing the weight, losing the weight, losing the weight. But your pillars aren't even that. Like, it's like about how to find peace. It's about how to have planning. It's like about how to do that kind of stuff. That's what I think. And I totally agree, Talia. That's genius. I think it's been your thoughts. And it's like, what if people like the pounds don't matter? They just need to learn how to plan and be more intentional and feel at peace with their body. Could that be a possibility?
Yeah, I'm just struggling that, especially for like the cold post, like I feel like they need to know that like, but I'm a coach for like weight loss. And how do you, I don't know, really say that without being like, lose the weight?
Well, it's like, I think that you are a weight loss coach, but you're also like based on your pillars that we've been like working on, it's I think more than I think it's seeming where I don't know where your pillars are, but the I know we've talked about it a lot, but oh here I think this is it. But it's like within your program, it's like there's also like how to keep up momentum, how to have self-confidence, how to live intentionally, how to stop emotionally eating. It's like that doesn't have to be like unfrustrating or what did we come up with the final name? And we've like switched the name a lot.
Yeah, frustrate your diet.
Unfrustrate your diet. What does that have anything to do with the number?
Yeah, I guess not. It's just how you're thinking about it.
Yeah. What if the momentum, it doesn't have to be pound related? What if weight loss momentum went more than just a number?
Hmm.
What if that's how we can shift your marketing? Is that
Yeah.
can you deliver that in your sleep?
I feel like that's a hard question because I don't
Like,
feel like I'm doing anything well. So delivering things in my sleep, no, not a thing.
can you teach someone how to plan an intentional planning?
Yeah.
You show people how to do the momentum.
Yeah, I think
Can you
so.
show people how to create self-confidence from their mind, not the scale?
Yeah.
You show people how to, what was the last one? How to stop emotionally eating.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, yes, you can do all of that. And those are all the things that you're going to be tracking. Those are the things that you're going to be teaching. So, and that goes for everybody. We want to use our mentors and people who we follow in the industry for us, not against us. And I think that if you were to think about like Corinne, I think she could sell the crap out of Unfrustrate Your Diet. It's like without any numbers on scale, without the Century Club. I know her. It's like she is a sassy lady, and she would figure out a way to sell that for sure. Talk about it's not about the number on the scale, it's about how you feel, like all that stuff. What if you were to channel that energy and don't use Corinne against you?
Hmm.
She's been in this industry for fuck ton of years. Like, I mean, like, in like 20 years? Like, she's been in this for a long time. Like
Yeah.
15 years pre-life coach school.
Hmm.
So it's like you're gonna get if you desire for you, and again, that's why I think Renee will have a lot of help with the internal compass. It's like if you decide that it's about the number for you, you want to create the number, eventually that will be a byproduct of it. Like eventually I would love for every single person in here to hit 6 figures. For sure. But right now I'm focusing on your systems. Right. So it's like I'm focusing on the systems, and I know the systems will get you there eventually. But right now, that's where I'm at. And where I see it going is like actual money in the bank.
Hmm.
But I know the systems is enough for right now. Yeah. More than enough. Great. You know? So awesome. I love that. Sarah, did you have any thoughts? Or
Can I give, I'm sorry, can I give one more? I can't resist. Sorry. This is just like coming again from me. I'm like, my body's like, you have to tell her this. Okay, so one of the things that I've been stuck on, Andrea, is like trying to coach on things that I'm stuck on, rather than coaching on something that I've been successful on. And hearing you talk about like how that like 5 pounds for you is something that you're stuck on but if you're marketing to people who like want to lose 100 pounds, but it's something that like you feel like you're kind of still stuck around, like that's not a place you can speak from success on. And so like maybe changing it to 75 or 50 or something that like feels really easy to you, where you're like well past that threshold, that might be easier. And then like when you get to, like for me, coaching on how to make six figures, like that's what I'm focused on, but I haven't made six figures coaching yet. And that's the thing I have to like keep talking myself down from, is like get coaching on the things that I'm still working on and coach on the things that I like can speak from a place of success on. So that's it. Now I'm done.
Yeah, no, I like that. Thanks.
Well, and I was thinking like eventually it could become something like the first 5 pounds. It's like five, like, or, but like for right now, focusing on like the intangibles and unfrustrate your diet. And then you, as your people start to get the results, then it's like then, and then like you can focus on like, okay, it's like I want to like be seeing that traction, and then eventually it could be something more like 25 to 100, you know. But it's a really good point. Don't coach on things you're stuck on. Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts real quick, and then we can get into coaching somebody else.
Can you scroll back up just real quick? I think I had something, but then escapes me.
I totally get that.
Yeah, just like and like I don't know if you've all read like the 4 agreements, but one of them is like don't make assumptions. And one thing that I've really been practicing that's been serving me well is making bold asks. And like she probably doesn't want it. It's like, well, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. So and the thing is, I think what Talia was speaking to is like making it easy for people to say yes to you. And the reality is like one of the ways that we make it easy for people to say yes to us is by asking them like, hey, do you want to say yes to me? Because often they do, but there's like the shifting from the desire to the decision, like I want this, to I'm creating this, is often the most challenging part, and it requires courage. So if we can model courage by going forward to people and asking them, something really powerful can happen. And like Megan was saying, is like sometimes people gravitate towards people like that they're exposed to, and they just don't know you. So you kind of have to go towards you. It's like there's a lot of people who work with Corinne that would rather not be working with Corinne, but like she's the one in the space. And so you have to be willing to kind of take up space and be bold and you know, and do that, because like what you have to bring to the table is what a lot of people are looking for. And like you keep trying to sell them on the tangible result, but there's something at the level of it's like helping them connect to the tangible result through the intangibles. Because really the reason why people want to lose 100 pounds or lose 20 pounds or lose whatever weight that they want is because of how they think that will make them feel. And so when you say to them, you can have what you want, like that's the space we want to create for people, is like the space for them to feel they can have what they want, and that they don't need to wait until they've lost the weight to experience what they want now.
Yeah, I think the idea of like the bold ask, and then what Talia was saying earlier about her basically asking for the help, but not having that like also like basically a bold offer, right? Like asking them, or the ask, right? All right, let's work together. Like, here's how we can do that. It kind of made me think about it that like a lot of my neediness or whatever is like that, like kind of vulnerability and wanting the client to be like, I'm super interested in working with you, when they're probably experiencing that same vulnerability of like, are they interested enough to work with me? Like, am I, fixable, like can they help me kind of a thing, but it's not really serving me to need them to express that interest in working with me. Like I need to be expressing the interest of like working with them. And yeah, doing those bold asks I think is
Because it's
something
both,
I
right? Like with dating, it's like if you just
Mhm.
expect, like, if I just make myself super beautiful and whatever, like my ideal partner, they're gonna come to me. But instead of just seeing like, oh, there's that cute person over there that seems a little distracted, but I'm super interested and wandering over and being like, hey, can I have
Mhm.
your, can we connect? Right?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it's like it's a dance. It's like between both. Like, yes, we want to do those things in a way of like showing up as the partner that we want to attract, but we also want to balance that and recognize that we live in a very distracted, noisy
Mhm.
world full of people going, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And so when you are the person who approaches them, they're like, hey, I see you, boo. There's something that does. You know, people are like, oh, thank God I'm seen.
I think that is one of the weird ways. Like, I'm a pretty open person that I feel like I've been able to connect with like a lot of people very quickly. When we're talking about like outreach and stuff, I'll be like, and I think I talked about this last week, but I'll be like, oh my God, I struggled. I was so there. I did this. This really helped me. Could this help you too? Oh my God. I remember when I was on a cruise, this is literally like the blog post I wrote for me before a cruise. Like, because that same thing happened to me. And I wrote like, I was there too. And I'm like, I've got your back. Like, let me know if there's any way. And also, like, I don't know if you were even thinking about this, but like, I don't know if you knew this, but I offered one-on-one. Like, if you need me, like I've got you. Like, do you see how that's like a totally different thing than like you should ask me if I want to? It's like, oh, like because that's like scary for them and for you and all that stuff versus you being like, I have you been on an all-inclusive cruise or like going to a beach trip or something like that she went through too? Sure. I'm yeah, sorry, like sorry your head. Like, yeah. So it's like if you can be like, I was also there and like having a coach really helped me. I was like, I don't know if you need this or like want this, but like the word need is like not a it's like I've got you if you want this. Also, if not, that's totally fine. But like let me know. Do you see how different that feels?
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. Such a good point, Sarah. Like so, so important because I think that like and also the connecting with the tangible and intangible. That's what I want your webinar to be about. One of the pieces of your intangible for weight loss, I want it to be something that is like it's like something about that. We can brainstorm that later or like in the chat, but like or the stream, but like definitely like think about like that is what I want you to sell. Sell them on the intangible throughout that whole webinar and have like a smidge of tangible that's not related to a scale. You got it? Awesome. I love it. Sounds good. Who else wants some coaching? This is so good. I feel like this is like, I just could see so many light bulb moments going off for everybody. I'm like, yes. And I hope everyone who watches this back, feel free to like message if you have any thoughts too. All right.
Okay, I'll share. So in terms of wins, quite a few. One actually that's just really standing out for me too, that like I think probably gave me the coaching I needed in the moment, was just like having a session with a woman who said it was like the most powerful 20 minutes of her life. And I felt that for her. It was like coaching on self-forgiveness, and she had a very difficult situation, or she'd lost a child that she poured a lot of herself into and neglected another child and had a difficult relationship anyway. So it was just like I could, and she even was present to like the generational effects. It was really difficult, but just that idea of like it ends with you. And I think it kind of ties into what we were touching on before, because I see a lot of people like waiting to have the tangible, like I need to make me more money so I can have a greater impact. But like it's actually by focusing on having the impact here that you're like in the presence of like I'm changing lives that you can the other thing is the byproduct of that is being aware of the impact that you can have now. not like waiting. So that was just a powerful moment. And I had been kind of in my head about Project 84 yesterday and feeling like so much resistance. And I coached another client who revealed to me my own thought. I was like, yeah, I don't want to look stupid. But then I was like, wow, how stupid is it to worry about being stupid when like this is like releasing generational trauma? It's like, I was like, yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And then, and also it just kind of helped me like shift because I think I've been wanting to cultivate a more like conversational approach, but I've been maybe talking wide instead of focusing on impacting the next person. I'm like, just going to create my content with the spirit of like talking to the next person who's going to come work with me.
Yep. Is for the next person. I love that. And you can even like name them. And like I've literally had people like when I put the name of somebody, I've been doing that recently. I've gotten back in the habit of doing that. I feel like it makes A, my content way better, and B, the person who I wrote it to literally reached out to me and was like, oh my God, I felt like that was for me. I was like, it actually was. I was like, I literally wrote that for you. I was like, here's your name on my like plans. They were like, weird. Great. So what can I help you with some coaching? This sounds amazing. And I think that's so, so important to do all of these amazing things. What?
Okay. And so as a segue into kind of what I could use some support with, one of my more recent breakthroughs, and it's actually a book that I would highly recommend to all of you, is called 10x is easier than 2x. I'm like, this is what I've been present to. It just kind of puts words to it in the past little while because I feel like there's been a lot of shifts happening lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've really kind of found that, and I'm like seeing a lot of like, so essentially what it means is like sometimes your goals are just not big enough. And like I'd heard that said before and I was like, but it's actually because like trying to like create a different result by doing more of what you're currently doing faster and harder, it's like just creates the space for incremental growth. But thinking at a 10x scale, like you just can't keep doing what you're currently doing to 10x your results. And it also creates like more of a process orientation. So that's been cool. But I think what I'm kind of looking at is like, because one of the things they talk about is this idea of like how I wrote it. Going for 10x requires letting go of 80% of your current life. So in this case, 80% of the current business, and focusing and going all in on the crucial 20% that is relevant and high impact. And so I think that's where I'm like, what's my 20? What is part of the 80% and what's my 20% that I could, and like maybe there's some opportunities already at this level that I'm seeing, and based on like a story they shared in the book, I was like maybe there's room to be delegating out certain things that I'm either not doing because I don't like doing them, but would help me stay in my zone of genius and get more out of what I'm currently doing, or to just, yeah. So I think I'm just like in a little bit of like floppy fish confusion over like what's my 20 and what's the 80.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, when you're thinking about delegating out things, that's like zone of incompetence, zone of competence. And like I've done, I think, this graphic before, but one of the things that like for me, what I love systems for is to create the system so that way instead of having like it just makes it easier to, where are the coaching tool there, instead of having the, and because I couldn't afford delegating at the time that I was at in the past, I just create systems for it. So like what are the systems that you feel like or what are the things in your business that you want to potentially delegate out or create like systems so you can just get it done like super fast?
Yeah. I know like a part of my business that I just kind of, because I just don't like, I don't super enjoy,
Sorry, I'm
uh,
getting communication matrix.
I think like one of the things that stands out is like engaging with people on social media. I don't super enjoy like
Mhm.
scrolling and commenting and things like that, but that could help kind of be the way to nurture and open up really like once we're talking, that I like.
Right.
At the initial kind of planting the seeds of that, not my favorites. I'm thinking maybe there's an opportunity there to think about um hiring someone for super cheap who could um like do some engaging, and I can maybe give them guidance on how to do that a little more authentically, or
Yeah.
just like
I'm thinking about doing that as well, by the way. Is like, because there are things that after like the outreach piece, not the pieces like I would recommend like the first time that you talk to somebody, like, or like there is a way that like you can engage with like hashtags and things like that. So it's like
Mhm.
after you post or like doing the actual posting, just like uploading things. Like if I like do like marketing and I like look at this hashtag, there are posts in here and it's like if you take like 30 minutes and I'm like, oh, okay, like love this. So cool. Like obviously like the English ones, like I don't even know what this is. It's really interesting. Oh, so it's like probably not on that, but like going through and like engaging with the things in the hashtag, that's something that you can do. Having people post for me are things that I'm thinking about doing. So like maybe like you could delegate like that, like the interactions and commenting. Maybe that could be something that like interactions with hashtags and commenting could be something that you could definitely delegate out and could take a lot of time. The thing is, remember how we talked about like with the 24-hour audit? What I've been doing is I have protocols for everything now. So I have within my little folder, like after a group call, eventually I would love to have someone else post this stuff for me. Within my new website, how to change things. When I have a presentation, here are things that I've got things to delegate out. QuickBooks, substitute coaching, webinars. It's like all of these things are things that I've created. So I want you to think about like if you want to do that, take time out to figure out like a protocol that you could have someone through. Onboarding a person might take some time. So if you're okay with exchanging time now for time later, I think that's great. The thing that I would want to make sure is that like your bottom line is just covered while you're
yeah,
taking.
no, but it's like even like kind of the things like once you decide things align is kind of how I've been like seeing certain things unfold. But yeah, like I had even a VA reach out to me on
Yeah.
Facebook that I just saw the message in my inbox this morning, and she's like, it's $5 US, just a little more than $5 US per hour. I'm like, this is like the 4-hour work week. I'm like, oh my gosh, all of these like principles that I've seen from the start, and I'm like, this is why I highly recommend you all read like the 10x is easier than 2x, because there's a story about this like real estate person, and basically her and her husband went into restaurant, like really quick,
Mhm.
restaurant business, economy tanked, the business tanked. They went from having no money to $600,000 in debt. And her husband and her had a conversation. He's like, we need to be a 2-income household right now. One got her, always heard that like there's money in real estate. It's like the easiest way to make money. Went into real estate, and like she went to seminars and noticed that like all the most successful people had an assistant. So even though she wasn't making like a ton of money, she hired a first assistant, and she's like, I need to make the money to pay this person. So it forced her to think creatively at 10x level. And now this person has like $14 billion in assets, you know?
That's a lot.
It's like, and it started by taking something that felt like, I shouldn't at this income level. But the thing is, it freed her up to focus on what you're talking about, which is the zone of genius. And that's why I'm like, and I think it's also kind of bringing up, but I'm like, I'm willing to let Project 84 run its course. It will be super interesting to see because, right, I see so many people, it's like posting, and I think it's important to like front face and have a presence. So like, regardless, I think the outcome will be good. But I think what it's already starting to show me is like, especially with the way social media has evolved, is that's just not the highest impact thing you can be doing for your business. I think having a growth spurt where you put a lot of energy into that, so then when people meet you online, you have things that they can go through to get a feel for you really quickly. But it's like really interesting to see. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and
like I'm gonna like I screenshotted my page at the beginning, and we'll see where I end up in 6 weeks. But
right. Well, and
yes, it will not have a huge impact on any of the vanity metrics, and that's fine.
And I think that like, but while you're doing this, creating protocols, doing like if you're doing anything on your page, this goes for everybody, Zoom record it. Getting
Yeah.
in a recording, getting in that time so that you can do this, like to the like I like it, or Loom is another one. I've never used it, but like just to record yourself as you do it and be like, okay, the first thing I do is I have this. You're just going to copy and paste from this document onto here. This is where the Canva graphic is. And what I'm thinking, I like, because I've been thinking very seriously about like having someone else post for me, because like the type, and then like actually like interacting, but you can actually include links to the Canva. Once you give them your login information, you can do like a share like this and be like, anyone with the link can edit, copy link, and within my marketing calendar and this looks like crazy because I did this on the plane and it's got like a lot of like to-dos. It's like literally it's like, but if this, it's like this post, like I could be like, use this and post this.
Mm-hmm.
And like that could be really, really freaking helpful, like to save you some time. And that's where the content batching ahead of time is huge. Like I have all this already, and I've cut back on my one-on-one clients to do this because I have enough saved up for it. Because I was like, we need to get this stuff ready for when this happens. And if you're feeling like this is happening, let's do it. And then if there's anything that you can delete off of your calendar, that's another important thing to keep in mind too. Like if there's
Well, that's what I've already done. And that was another big one of my breakthroughs that I'll just share with all of you. Cause like freeing up the space from my LCS contract, like holy hey. And it's just allowed me to be way more creative and think like I just was experiencing decision fatigue, or just like, it's normal. Like you run a marathon and you're like, it's not your most like energized place from which to be creating. It's not possible to create from that place. But like in the book, they're like tightly scheduled entrepreneurs cannot transform themselves. You really have to create the space to receive, is kind of what I'm realizing.
And I love that you've created that. Like, I think that's so good. And I would say that, like, it's sounding like you could even have somebody be like, hey, love your, like, even if you wanted to, like, have the interactions, like, even if you wanted to move that over, you were the CEO of your business. Like, let's give it a try. Let's see what they could do. That would be awesome. Because, like, it's, let's say you do ask them to do that, like, the 2.5 hours a week, then that could be like $15.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not freaking bad.
If any of you have experimented with like boosting posts or things like that too, I'd be super curious to hear your experience if you want to share and reach out later.
Yeah, well, share for everybody because I'm considering doing that as well. I've never done it. Fun fact. Like, you can hit 6 figures without it, but I'm thinking about doing that as well. So we'll see. I'm
Okay.
a part of another group and I'll ask in there too. It's like all about like media and stuff like that. And the girl
Hmm.
went to a Meta conference and I've been like, y'all, social media, such an adventure. Oh, another thing.
That's a good point. Here, offer your thought and then I'll offer what I that
Oh
brought
no, go
up for
ahead.
me.
I'll just show you like the Meta thing. There's a way that you can get a blue check and
Because it's like once I'm done with Project 84, which I'm just gonna focus on it and see what it creates, and we'll see. I suspect that it's not the highest order of priority, but so then I'm considering like, okay, so if that's not in the 80%, it might be something I continue to do at a different scale. It's like what is actually in the 20%. I think what you're just mentioning there is like really kind of looking for one-to-many experiences like media or things like that, speaking for organizations, things like that, that would be just way better.
yeah, that's where I'm gonna be like thinking about like, okay, like how can I just get myself in front of more people? And that's the purpose of webinars, like just asking people, like moms groups, entrepreneur groups, like anybody and ever weight, like it's like weight loss groups being like, hey, I've got a new concept. I would love to like teach your people. I think it would be really helpful. Like one of my other clients, she gave a presentation yesterday to it's like she helps wellness entrepreneurs and she gave a presentation to a co-working space yesterday that they just like hired her and they call her a guru and like she just does it for free but she's gotten a ton of clients from there and that's why learning how to do that's why I want you guys to get at least one webinar in before you finish this round and like Sarah, you've now done how many webinars since then and now you're doing webinars for other groups like aren't you as
Yeah,
well?
because that's what one of the things that which is interesting, right? Because it's like I'm doing Project 84, and I assumed that that was where people were going to come from. That, but I realized that was still coming from a 2x mindset of like, if I just work harder and faster, and I do 2 things of the content every day, that's what works. No, but yeah, looking for one-to-many experiences, and there's a group that I'm like, I just saw an opportunity. I'm like, nobody knows how to do this thing. Everyone's confused about it. I
Yeah.
see it with my mentees all the time. And I was like, hey, can I do the workshop that LCS? And ironically, actually, um, I I so I put it out into the universe. I'm like, in this group, 70 people have shown up all organically, like said yes to, I haven't run it yet, but like 70 people have said yes, they're interested, we've connected, now contacts in my sphere. And then LCS just reached out to me today to ask me if I wanted to do the same workshop for them. I'm not sure I'm gonna do it, and that's for like a separate time because I'm like, do I wanna I'm like, there are other spaces that I can maybe do this that would be higher impact where I'm not being underpaid and undervalued. So I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to do it there. We'll see. I'm going to think that one through, but I'm not sure that that's in my 80% of my 20% anymore.
Well, and also like I would say that like yeah, it's totally up to you. And I would say that like you can like doing one training is different than like also like doing a bunch of stuff with them. Like, you know, it's like would you have to be a contracted coach in order to do the training?
Not necessarily. It's like in classic LCS form, they've reached out and asked me to do this, have not specified how much I'm going to be paid for this. Originally, they had mentioned I would be paid for this, but even then, it's probably going to be peanuts for the value of like
Picking up
this
pen.
training alone. Like down the line, it's going to be something that probably in the certification that I create, I'm going to be able to go in greater depth. So I'm like, I'm willing to do outside the container of LCS to expose people to the fact that there are alternatives out there. And originally I was willing to do it there, but yeah, I think I'm just going to sit with that one for a little bit.
Okay. I think it's like just sit with it. And like I think that it's funny when you start like that what you were talking about with Andrea, like giving that first ask like just like going for it, the more you can ask, the better. So like my goal for all of you guys within the next couple weeks, I want you to start asking people and being like, hey, I have this presentation. Do it for your people first, run it by us. But it's like, hey, I've got this presentation. Like, could I do this for your group? Would you be open to that? Like, that's literally like when I pitched the 10-year plan thing, I literally pitched it to, and I think I posted it in what when Jess and I were talking, you can scroll back the exact words that I used, but this is marketing. But like literally I went to all of these sororities and I was like, hey, could I do this? Hey, could I do this? Hey, could I do this? Now I found that college students are not always the most receptive and not always the most prompt at answering their emails. So it was like totally fine. But I was like, oh, I could do this for this organization. I did the making career decisions one. I did this for I reached out to a professor at NC State as well. And I was like, hey, could I do this? Like literally, I just pitched everyone and everything. I was like, I can do this. Let me show you what I can do. Let me get in front of your people. And I know it's gonna help out, like in the long run. Like I really do think that this is like the way. And I'm like trying to figure out how to get on like podcasts and stuff like that too. And like pitching myself for that. So I'm gonna let you guys know. But there's also time when you guys have intentionally chose this 6 months to take time and figure this stuff out. If you have any questions about it, like this is the time when you're setting the foundation, and then you can just like pitch it to everybody and everyone, you know? That was a lot. How are you guys feeling now about everything? Pretty good? Excited to try this? Excited for Renee next week? I feel like she's gonna be great. Like she's gonna teach you about like bilateral stimulation because like as you go through like dropping 80% of what you're doing currently, you're also shedding 80% of like your current identity as well. So it does trigger your nervous system. It gets you going. You're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff going on. So that's why I have her there to help you guys as well. Also, I am doing a webinar tomorrow or workshop tomorrow at 8. So if you want to see what that looks like, it's going to be a little different than a webinar. I've already sent out the training videos. Everyone should be on my email list. I'll double check that today. But I am also going to give away 3 free coaching sessions on that. So you guys are no exception to that if you want a little extra coaching. And even if you can't come live, just like send me an email, be like, hey, like put me on the list. I'll put you on the list and we'll do a giveaway. It'll be super fun. But yeah, with social media, like just so you know, guys know what's going on. Like I am trying to figure out the meta, what I was talking about with Sarah just a second ago. I don't like to think that this is happening, but just in case this might be happening, Andrew, you also mentioned there's an issue with Meta, correct? Like you messaged people and now Meta sent you something, right? Yeah. So, you know that little blue check with Meta? Have you guys seen that like as a verification? I don't know if this is true, but from what I heard from the master media person who is Amy Gorin, the girl I work with, apparently Meta, if you have an issue with your feed, again, I don't want to tell you to buy anything that you don't have to buy. That's why like even the Squarespace where Sydney's going to teach you guys, it's like 13 a month. You do not have to use it if you don't want to. You can use other free ones like Wix, but I do think that potentially if you are selling something, they would like to be paid for it in the form of the blue check. I don't know if that's true. Just a heads up. It's like $12 a month. The issue with mine, which is super fun, I had my old college email that was deleted on like as a verification. So I sent my payment in and they were like, to verify, confirm your email to this like super old email that I had. So trying to figure out all of that right now, trying to figure out all this goodness, but it's been an interesting ride. I was like reported for hate speech. Fun fact, during one of my free coaching calls. that's fun. I didn't even curse in it. And I was like, and they took it, they were like, oh, we were wrong, but the things still aren't back up. So I've heard that if this does happen to you, it's not the end of the world. However, you can, within the people that you have, like avoiding lives, if like apparently like if you get locked out of your account, locked out just means that I thought they were gonna, like I've heard of people's whole page being deleted. I think they've stopped that doing that. However, you still might have what's it called? You still might have, you might not be able to do lives. So I just changed yesterday my lives in my Facebook group to the Zoom meeting. It's like a quick little fix, but I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Also, I've like talked about at length, like just focus on one platform and grow it. I would now maybe change my tune a little bit and maybe like repost your post on a blog, maybe all the videos that you're doing, repost them on YouTube, just having a different form of social media as well, if you can, if you have time for that. I know that time is so limited and very important, but that's what I'm doing right now, trying to figure it out. It's been a week, you guys. Like, what an adventure. But yeah, I think that that could be really helpful for the future. And I'm so sorry if that happened to you, Andrea. I hope that didn't happen to anybody else, but potentially like if you have the blue check, then you can at least get a person to talk through problems instead of a robot. So that's that. Woo! But if you guys want to come, let me know. Like, send me a message. You guys have my email, which is what I'm now using to contact people. And I will see you guys not next week. I will see you the week after. And the accountability time is not happening next week. Okay. But I love you guys and I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye.
Bye.